Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I am so excited because I'm finally trying out a brand that has been on my radar for a really long time, Thrive Causemetics. I picked up their mascara as well as their new concealer, so I wanted to give you all my thorough review today after trying them out for a while. Let's go ahead and jump right in. First off, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Morgan. I focus a lot of my content here on YouTube on conscious consumerism and really trying to hand select makeup items that are going to be best for me so that I have a makeup collection full of items that I really love to use. So if that approach to makeup sounds interesting to you, I would love to have you subscribe before you go today. And now let's talk through these two products that I purchased from Thrive. As a little backstory, I first heard about the brand Thrive Causemetics from Khaki Reviews Beauty here on YouTube, so I will link her channel down below. She works pretty closely with them. She does have a lip liner with them that's named after her, and she's very knowledgeable about their brand as a whole, and I have been really inspired to try out some of their products, especially because they do have a really community-focused mission. They do donate a certain percentage of their profits to organizations that support women and female founders and entrepreneurs. So I think that's a really great mission, in addition to the fact that, you're able to purchase makeup products that you would like to own. So I've had my eye on Thrive for a while, and finally they released something that kind of pushed me over the edge and finally encouraged me to make my first order. Their Buildable Blur HD Creaseless Concealer, and I purchased the shade Fair Cool. I was intrigued by this concealer in particular because I heard Khaki's review of this, and she kept comparing it to the Kosas concealer that I've had my eye on for years now. My only issue with the Kosas was that over and over I hear from people who own it that it expires in like 2 to 3 months, and I own enough concealer in my collection that I know it would just go bad and I would never get good use out of it. So I've always held off on purchasing it, but hearing that Khaki thinks that this is a relatively comparable concealer formula to the Kosas, I thought I would go ahead and give it a shot. So within the context of my very, very affordable drugstore only concealer collection, I'm excited to talk to you all about how this one kind of compares and holds up against those drugstore formulas. And then the other product I bought in this order is an OG product from them. It's their Liquid Lash Extension Mascara. This is a tubing mascara formula, and the reason I was so drawn to this is because it comes in a dark brown color called Crystal. So I'll try to show you here on the camera. Hopefully you can tell that that is brown and not black. And for a tubing mascara that gives you kind of a more natural lengthened effect on your lashes, I think having that dark brown instead of black can make it look like a very no makeup natural beauty vibes. So I was really excited about the combination of the tubing formula and the brown color. I will say that wand is not a wand that I typically like on mascaras, so that was my only hesitation purchasing this mascara, but we'll get into all of that when we do this review. I do want to preface this by saying this is by no means a first impressions. I have used the concealer, I believe 4 or 5 times, I think I've used it 5 times, and I've used the mascara 3 times. So this will be a pretty thorough review, and I'll be able to kind of situate these two products within the context of my broader makeup collection. Now, I do already have my brows done, and then I also have the Ordinary Serum Foundation on already in a very light layer across my face. I also did my skincare pretty recently, so you can see I'm a little glowy. But I didn't want to set anything down or anything like that because I do want you to see how this concealer performs just right over top of this foundation. And I was very careful to leave a wide gap here surrounding my eyes where there's no foundation, so you can really see the shade of this concealer as well. And then when we are done with the concealer, I will move on to the mascara, and I'm going to apply it with no eyeshadow or anything behind it so that you can really see it just against my bare skin and get a feel for just how it looks all on its own. Okay, so first things first, the concealer. I'm gonna just go ahead and swatch it a little bit on the back of my hand so you can see it before it gets sheared out. So this is the shade Fair Cool, and it might look a little light for my skin tone to you, but my hands are always the tannest part of my body, and also I wanted to buy a shade that would work for me year round. And I fluctuate pretty dramatically in the summer versus the winter. So I needed to buy something that was going to be relatively light. Now, if I do start to sheer it out, you'll see it doesn't look like nearly such a bad shade match. Once it's blended in, you can see it just doesn't look so stark. When I was testing this out, I tried blending it in with my fingers, a brush, and a sponge. I will say personally, I always prefer to blend out my concealer with a brush, so it's no surprise to me that that was also my favorite way to blend this out. But I do think it blended just fine with the sponge and my fingers as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this to the areas that I normally would put my concealer, and we will blend it out. I'm just using my Real Techniques concealer brush. It's actually called the Deluxe Crease Brush, but I always use it for concealer. Okay, so here it is blended out, and I hope you can see just how skin-like that concealer looks. It did a great job of covering the darkness in my inner corner here, considering the fact that I'm not using any sort of color corrector along with it, which I often do with any concealer that I own. So the fact that it has covered this much is really impressive to me. Now, there are 3 claims in the title of this concealer that I want to address. It says it's buildable, it says it's blurring, and it says it's creaseless. That first claim, buildable, is absolutely true. So let me just add a little bit more so that you can see how seamlessly it blends over top of itself. So you can see I got a little bit more coverage there, especially when you compare to the other side. You can really tell that it has covered some additional areas there. Its second claim is that it's blurring, and I have mixed feelings on this claim. I think it's blurring in the way that a liquid product can be blurring. So liquids are inherently reflective. You can see, I mean, it's enhanced because I'm in like studio lighting, but you can see that it reflects the light back, and reflecting light is always going to enhance texture. So something that is liquid, like a concealer, kind of inherently is going to enhance texture a little bit until it kind of dries down. That being said, I do have the biggest pores on my whole face are right here, and I think you can see some of that on the camera right now, right? So especially in like this area, and I don't feel that this concealer enhances that in any way. And that's not the case across the board with all concealers for me. Oftentimes, I do think that my kind of pores in this general cheek region are enhanced by concealers, and this one does not enhance them. And then this third claim is the thing I really, really want to spend some time on. It says that it's a creaseless concealer. That is something I have never in my life believed in. I have fine lines under my eyes, and things settle into those lines instantly, always. Every product I've ever used in my life, ones that have always claimed to be creaseless, have always done that regardless. I've truly never found something that doesn't. I set my under eyes always, every single time. That's for a couple reasons. First, it's because of this hollow right here in my eyes. That kind of 3D effect there where my cheek is higher than like the hollows of my eyes. That's just enhanced by having something liquid on my skin again. So putting powder over that helps to kind of flatten the appearance there. The other reason I powder is because of those fine lines and the fact that everything settles into them inevitably. So the first few times I wore this concealer, I powdered like usual, went on with my day, formed my thoughts, washed my makeup off. Didn't really give too much thought to that creaseless claim just because it's something that for me has always kind of just been a false claim. It's just never personally worked out for me. But then I think the third time that I put this concealer on, I decided to risk it. And honestly, I decided to risk it and not powder it because I was looking at myself head on like this, and I realized I could barely see that line from my hollows that normally is extremely pronounced. If you haven't ever seen any of my other videos, you may not realize this, but normally when I'm looking head on like this, it's a very, very, very distinct line, like extremely obvious. But in this concealer, I have to actually like look down to be able to demonstrate that to you. And that's not something I've ever experienced before. So the fact that I didn't feel the need to powder because of that hollow meant that I was willing to give the creaseless claim a try by not powdering under my eyes at all. And I was shocked. I was completely shocked. It absolutely settled into those lines by the end of the day, but I was wearing the makeup for over 12 hours. So even if I had powdered it, and even if I had powdered any concealer I own, it would have settled by then into these lines. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That happens every single day that I wear my makeup for more than like maybe 3 hours. It's just, it happens. So it had settled into those lines, but because I didn't have to set it, I was able to just really easily tap back over that, kind of redistribute that product, and it looked good as new, completely fresh. And I never would have had the confidence to try this without powder had it not looked so flattening under my eyes. So the fact that it does not enhance the hollows of my eyes, and it doesn't settle into my lines nearly as much or nearly as quickly as other concealers I've used, has been a complete game changer for me. And I really do think that the consistency is playing a big role here. This is a very, very thin, liquidy concealer, and that is always my preference. I much prefer very thin, liquidy concealers to all other formulas. But this one I feel has something extra special. For example, my ColourPop Pretty Fresh Concealer and my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer are also both very liquidy textures. They essentially feel identical to this one going on. But both of those formulas, the ColourPop and the Maybelline, two of my favorite formulas of all time, they do settle into those lines super, super quickly, like instantaneously. And they really, really enhance the hollows under my eyes. So I can't get away with not powdering those two if I'm wanting to look relatively put together. So I don't know how else to put this aside from saying that this concealer is actually life-changing to me. It will literally change my actual makeup routine dramatically. And the more I've been thinking about it, the more I think it's going to be really hard to want to pick up my other concealers when I know that I have this in my collection and can use it unpowdered whenever I please. Okay, so switching gears over to the mascara. Again, as I mentioned, I have a brown mascara. It's in the shade Crystal, and it has a plastic wand, which if you've been here a while, you know I hate that. But let's go ahead and apply it, and then I will talk through my thoughts. Okay, so when you're watching this back, I just fast forwarded through that application, but I didn't cut any of it out because I wanted you to see how long it actually took me in like real time to get this first full coat onto my lashes. And holy cow, this is the longest my lashes have ever been with one coat of mascara ever in my life. And I will say, it does feel a bit clumpy. So you can see it is clumping a couple of them together, but I do think that's because this is a brand new tube of mascara. I always prefer a slightly drier mascara formula. So with time, I think that will get better and I will like this even more. But I hope you can see the results here. And I hope you can see on my face how happy I am with this result. I cannot believe that my lashes look that incredibly long with one very, very, very fast coat of mascara. I will say it feels very heavy on my lashes, and I don't know how else to describe that other than it just feels weighty. And I don't love that. I don't curl my lashes as part of like my normal routine, but I do feel that this weighs them down just a bit and they lose a little bit of their natural curl. Obviously, I think that could be remedied by literally just curling my lashes. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But if you have very, very, very thin, sparse lashes, I could imagine it possibly creating an issue. But you can see on this eye, it's not like I have like particularly thick or full lashes naturally. So I'd say I'm somewhere in the average range for eyelashes. And it hasn't really been a big enough issue to me to counteract what I think are incredible, incredible results. So let me just do this side and my lower lashes. Okay, so here we are with one coat on both sides. And you can see on this side even better what I'm talking about, that it's kind of clumping together a bit. And again, I think it's just a matter of having to kind of give it its time to dry out a little bit. If not, I'll of course come back and update you guys if in like a month it's still doing this, because to some people that is a huge deal breaker. Now, I will say, I would not recommend this mascara to everyone. I would specifically recommend this to people who want that length and are willing to compromise on the volume. I think there are ways to kind of counteract that. I think if you use a dark liner and put it in your like upper waterline or on your lids, that can give the impression of a thicker, fuller, more volumized like root of the lash. But I just want to be fully transparent that unless you're going for length, this may not be for you. The other caveat is that what you get on your first coat is kind of what you get. It doesn't layer on itself. So once you have kind of committed to what it's going to look like, that's what you're getting. You can't like brush through it to make it more wispy or feathery, because it is those like physical little tubes covering your lashes rather than like a pigment on your lashes. You're kind of, you know, the one coat you get is the coat you get. Overall though, I'm very impressed with that mascara. And I think for like a no makeup look, I honestly could see myself using just those two products and like a lip balm and calling it a day. But I do want to show you what it would look like with a full face of makeup. So I'm gonna go ahead and do cheeks, lips, maybe a little bit of eyeshadow off camera, just to give you kind of the full complete picture of how these fit in with a full face of makeup, if that's more your style. Okay, I am back with the rest of my makeup done so that you can see how the concealer looks with kind of cheek products incorporated and how the mascara looks with some eyeshadow behind it. So I just did a really light wash of eyeshadow today, nothing super intense, just because that's how I imagine myself using this particular mascara. So just to wrap up with some final thoughts, I would highly recommend either of these products. I feel like this is one of the longest reviews I've ever done on my channel, and I was only reviewing 2 products, but I just had so much to say about both of them because I do think that both of them are very unique, interesting formulas. I hope you enjoyed my blabbering on about them, and I hope that I provided some context for you on whether or not you're the exact right customer for these items. But either way, I do think they are beautiful formulas, and I'm really excited to have them in my collection. If you haven't already, I would love to have you subscribe before you head out today. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.